Buongiorno.
Come stai?
Bien. So thank you very much for being with us, for staying with us. Welcome to our Aftertalk. So I will introduce here, okay, Yannis Niaros.
Hi.
Kostas Nikouli.
Hi.
The actors that you saw, of course. And Mariano Pensotti, who is the director and writer of the play.
Hola.
I'm Giolanda Mαρκοπούλου. I collaborated with Mariano here in Greece, so we make this new version of the play here for the Onassis Foundation. And thank you very much for all the team of the Onassis, of course, all these days for supporting us and making this possible. It's very important. It's a huge team behind that. I have to say a few words, of course, about Mariano that you may not know so well, that he's from Argentina. Maybe you know that. He has a group called Grupo Marea, that they founded 20 years ago, and the group is here. They're sitting back there. It's Florencia Basser, Mariana Tirante, Diego Weiner, and also the lighting designers here, a collaborator, David Zeldes. And of course, last but not least, we have to have a clap also for Maria Hadjimanuil, who's the translator of the play in Greek, that she also adapted to the Greek reality, because as you noticed in the play, there are a lot of moments that we refer to our country. This play was also dedicated to people who are lost in the mountains, and specifically to Sikaris, Adonis Sikaris, that we have the play, which is printed. You can also find it down in the foyer. And this book is dedicated to him, the play, I mean, of Mariano. So we'll have a short conversation here between us, and afterwards we'll open for your questions. So keep your thoughts, and we'll be happy to hear them. So I'll start with Mariano, because he's the writer, as we said, and the director, which is amazing that you have both. So I would like to ask you, how did everything start? Like, what was the reason you decided to write a play, which is not...
Okay, well, thank you. It's such an honor to be here working with these wonderful actors and this amazing team. So it's really like a dream for me. As Yolanda said, I always work in the context of a group. So although I'm the playwright and the director, everything that we do is a sort of a collective creation. And usually our pieces starts with some small trigger. For example, I have been obsessed during the last years with this real news, the news that appears on several newspapers about corpses who appear in different mountains around the world because of the climate change. And to me, it was like such a strong image, you know, like this idea of the earth giving back the dead. And especially coming from Argentina, you know, the idea of someone who is disappear and suddenly reappear. You know that during the Argentinian military dictatorship, there were a lot of missing people. It was like a, you know, dramatic and poetic image at the same time. So that was the starting point. Like, we started to discuss with the group about that idea and to research a little bit. And we knew that we wanted to work in this sort of format of fake documentary piece, because it really feels like we are talking about a real story that happens to a real climber, but of course everything it's fiction, although it has certain real base. And then we were at the same time very much interested in this mixture in between reality and fiction. We were also very much interested in what happens to real people whose life is transformed into fiction, whose own life is the base of a film or a book. How much do your own perception of yourself it's transformed to have this fictional mirror? So that was the way how we started to develop it.
And have you worked also with documentary theater or in a documentary film before?
No, actually, we we were interested in recent times in this concept of taking certain procedures that come from documentary, or to give the impression that certain things are documentary pieces, but working mostly in the field of fiction. Also because for us it's interesting to ask ourselves in this moment, what is it real, what is it fake? Is it fake news? How do you build fiction starting from something real? What happens when the boundaries in between reality and fiction are so diffuse as they are now?
Okay, thank you. And maybe the actors, because we say about reality and fiction, or sometimes reality and fiction. So how do you feel, playing with this world? Tell us a bit about the process of how you adapted all this work.
Στα αγγλικά πάντα, Okay.
If you want, or else I can translate for you.
We can do it. When I saw the play online, first time I saw the play, that was very interesting to me, that I didn't understand if it's actually all fake or if there is this guy that was a climber and found his dad. And I didn't, of course, I didn't know the actors and everything, so I think it had an extra effect on me, that maybe people tonight, you didn't feel the same way, because you actually know that Kostas is not a climber.
Who knows? Maybe I am.
Ναι, και οπότε this was very interesting to me, and other than this is what we always do in our job, even if it's a completely fake play, meaning sort of narrative play that we've known, that we have to actually question ourselves, that does this look real? Is it real? Will they think it's real, even if it's not real in the sense of like, has it actually happened? I'm not portraying an actual person, but you have to believe it's real, even if it's fake. So all this is very interesting to us in every way. And then the other thing I really liked about the play and its fake documentary, ας πούμε, format, is that... Συγγνώμη ρε παιδιά, εντάξει. It's that acting-wise, for us, it's 1 in a million that you can actually talk to someone so openly, like everyone knows it's so fake, but everyone has to believe it's so real. So it's like the most naked theater you could have. Like it's almost, we compare it to almost stand-up comedy, almost TEDx, you're talking to people, it's so naked, which made it very interesting to me to watch and to actually, to act it out, try to act this play.
Yes, because we have to say that it's a third country that you produced this play.
Yeah, I mean, it was a weird experience for us, because actually this piece was created 2 years ago for the very first time for the Festival d'Avignon in France, with French-speaking actors. And then we did an adaptation with German-speaking actors for Vienna. Then we did it in Argentina with our Spanish-speaking actors. And now it's the 4th time. But I feel that it's much more than just a recreation, because it's really... It's a piece that you cannot do if it's not adapted to the specificity of the actors and the specific conditions of the place where it's presented. That's why it was so important to have Maria's translation and to discuss with her during some time, talking about the adaptation with the dramaturgs from Stέγη, working together with you in order to make this specific staging. It's a very unique experience to us, this opportunity to present a piece that it has created before in a new version, a new life. I like to think this as a sort of a reincarnation, rather than just a reproduction of something that exists before.
Yeah. Kostas?
Yeah. Yeah, for me, the interesting thing about the play and about to narrate that story is, that afterwards, when you see the play, when you realize the story in the end, you start to feel some not weird emotion. It hits you in inside. And for example, maybe in the play you don't have the huge, the acting-wise, dramatic scenes, but you know, in the end, it happens something in your mind and in your soul that it changed you, and this is the thing that I loved in that play. And when we were working, for example, we watched the video of the Argentinian actors. We tried to do somehow the same movements, but you know, when I was doing them, it's like a new thing. It's like reincarnation that you told, and we tried to narrate a story, a Greek story about two people. It's, you know, for luck that he's a climber and he is an actor. It's not, yeah, this is the thing, and this is what I loved, to narrate stories from people to go to people, you know. After.
And what about fathers and sons? Because we have 3 men here, so it would be nice to hear how you feel about that, because it's a play that is really about this relationship.
It's true. I feel it's really a piece about fathers and sons. I mean, it could be about many things, you know, climate change, our relationship with nature. It's also about friendship, I guess. And, you know, it could be different for anybody. But it's true that fathers and sons are very present there. Somehow this idea of a voracious shadow, you know, the shadow of the father. It's not just about father, but more about family myths, I guess. You know, how do we compare with our predecessor, with the ancestors, exactly? How much do we feel the weight on our shoulders from the family myths that has been created in every family? How much do we match the expectations of our parents, and how it's, in that sense, our relationship with our sons or daughters? I'm a father of 2 daughters, and of course I'm asking myself all the time, you know, am I building a myth for them? I came also from a generation where my parents, they were like leftist militants in Argentina during the 80s, and of course we had the feeling that we were sort of a failed generation in comparison with them, because they had so many, you know, big expectations, and they expected to change the world for the best. And I feel that tension in between generations, it's something that is somehow present in the piece.
And I think if you agree that in Greece we have this inheritance very strongly. We inherit things from our parents and grandparents historically, because we have very similar situations. So I think that's why I think this piece has a lot of common ground for Greece as well, because we have a lot of common things with Argentina, even if we're quite far away. What do you think?
It's more about family in general, and how it's a huge part of our psyche and the way we feel about stuff, or the way. So yeah, it was another thing I really appreciated, how you can have 2 men on stage, you know, talking about their fathers and their relationship with his daughter, with his son, and everything. It's something that you wouldn't see, especially in a Greek play, for some reason. There's this matsila, adrilla, and we always had fun with Kostas in this, the time where the dad calls him, and they haven't spoken years, and it's actually written by Mariano with small, you know, words like, yeah. Τι κάνεις, καλά,
Καλά. Θέλω να σε δω.
Ναι, which is the truth. And, you know, yeah, with my father, I have, it's complicated. It's very rich. You can't place it in every man and every woman with their parents and their kids. It's just like such a huge thing. You know, you can't get into it. It needs many hours of psychotherapy. Very complicated.
Yeah. For me now, it's really, I am in that moment, for example, I am between, because I have the relationship with my father, and now I create my relationship with my son. So I am between. And it's really weird when we are in the same room, the 3 together. Yeah. And sometimes my father, for example, is more like a kid than my kid. So it's yeah, and he plays. So yeah. Yeah, it's for me. You know, I am in between. I was the kid. I was the son. Now I had to become father. But okay, you know, these connections never stops to change. You will be the father, then you will be the kid. For example, for my father, I will be the kid forever. This play, it speaks about that, and you know, you have to solve that thing. And Yorgos, the climber, he's trying to do this trip. It's an inner trip. He goes to the top of a mountain. No, he doesn't. He doesn't go to the top, but he do an inner journey to find himself and to close that story, to go further. And we see him to create a relationship with Manos, and this is the goal, to leave them behind and to create something new.
Yes, and I think that friendship is what you said, very important. And when we met all together in the beginning of the rehearsals, I mean, I know you know each other from before. You've played in a TV series together, but you haven't been in theater together, right?
Never.
It's the first time.
Yeah.
Which is important, because in theater you have another connection of how you rehearse, how many hours you spend together, right? So it's nice that as we were rehearsing the play and we were going deeper and deeper and going towards the final days, how you started to create another kind of friendship. You had one already, but I feel that through the play, I don't know if you feel the same.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Yeah, you know, and it's a play that if, for example, me and Yannis were on knives, this will not happen. You will see a different play. But it brings you more close to the other.
I also, that's another thing I liked when I saw it, that then we've been talking about it, that there's no one to save you. If you fuck up, you're fucked. And if one of us like forgets a line or fucks up, we're always like, you know, very connected to each other. Yeah. So it creates an actual bond that's also above friendship in a way that, you know, maybe, you know, we don't see each other every day from now on, but maybe, let me know.
We'll see.
Nah, but
never
still,
know.
you know, whenever I see him, it's like we've been to war together, you know, in a way.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? You've had like to cooperate in something that you have to be in danger in kind of a danger together in something.
Yeah, we are in a danger.
And we are on this thing flowing in a danger.
Yeah. And if we lost a line, for example, we feel the same. Yeah, we are like in the sea and we drown.
Nice.
No, I just would like to add that it's totally true. I mean, it's impossible to make a piece such as this one if you don't have this sort of relationship in between the two of you, you know, the performers. And it's plus also because, I mean, they're being very modest, but it's quite difficult, the task that they are doing on stage, you know, honestly. They have to be on stage and create a scene, then they have to address the audience, they are manipulating the set, they are creating the fantasy that everything is just because they are taking the decision on the spot, and it's a very technical work, and then they have to go deeper, because if not, it will be just, you know, a bit superficial, and they're doing an amazing job, and it feels like it's like a natural flow, but it's not. And it's true that you really need to create that strong bond between the two of you, that it feels really like, I don't know, two climbers that goes to the summit.
Yeah. And this is what I love to the play also, that it's looked like it's simple, but from inside, this you know, for us is the most difficult thing, and is a kind of theater that I love, that I want to play and I want to create. That it looks like it's simple. It's a simple story. It's simple.
People talking.
Yeah, but you have to create all these things, all the narration, the imagination, all.
Great, thank you. Shall we open for some questions from the audience? We would like to hear you. Yes, it's...
So many.
Congratulations to all of you. I would like to ask you something about the initiative for writing the story. Because most of us who have a relationship with the father, so we can understand most of the topics that are dealt in the book. But why the initiative was climbing? Why the initiative for presenting the relationship between the father and the son with the father had to be with climbing?
Okay, no, I mean, of course, there are many different options that you can do to develop that. I have to admit that I never think about themes when I start to write or develop a piece together with the group. It's very rare that I think in advance, okay, I want to make a piece about the relationship in between fathers and sons. It always starts with a story, you know, and since I've been collecting these stories of corpses that appears in mountains around the world, I become sort of obsessed with the idea of climbing. And then suddenly I got the recommendation of this book by Petrarca, which I didn't knew before, and it's amazing because it's a book that is actually, and is described by Costa in the piece. It's the first book that tells the story of a climbing of a mountain. It is set by researchers that, you know, Petrarca climbed as a middle-aged person and went down as a Renaissance man. And of course, for Petrarca, the idea of climbing, it was totally different to what it would mean for us today. It was like, it has some sacred meaning, you know, it was like a religious experience. And I liked this idea of how much a simple idea of climbing a mountain has changed through time, because it's true. I also agree with what Yannis is saying at some point, that today climbing has become something much more like a sport full of sponsors, you know, and of course it's a metaphor of we all need to reach the summit as soon as we can, and no matter how we need to do to achieve that. So in that sense, the idea of climbing, to me, it was like, you know, very useful to address many of these subjects.
But still, you don't have any experience of climbing.
Not at all. I was watching a lot of documentary films, because I didn't want to, you know, say something totally wrong, and reading a lot of books. And then I become very much interested in that specific word, but I didn't try it myself.
Okay.
Yet.
Did you ever try to go to Annapurna or any base camp?
I feel a little bit too old for that,
No,
but
you're
probably
not.
these gentlemen could do it, and they will tell me.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. I would like maybe you to further comment on the problem of truth. For me, watching the show, I was keep thinking about these male egos in this play, and the narcissism, the father narcissism of wanting to conquer this mountain, and the actor narcissism wanted to be the best and at the same time portray the other person who also has a deep desire to become a movie in a way, or fear, or I guess also it's the same. And I feel that all this is deeply connected with the problem of truth and the problem of narrating one story or creating a reality in order to complement ourselves. And I found this deeply political, and I think that this is a very, you show that in a very fun but at the same time accurate way. So I would love to hear more about that.
Well, thank you. It's a wonderful question. Yeah, actually, well, I wish my English were much better to answer that. But it's true that we were dealing also with, I mean, you can go deeper in that, totally in that direction. And it's a piece really about reflections, you know, and how you create something that looks like real, but it might be an invention in every level, I guess, you know, in a very simple levels, such as having like a mirror wall and to have, I mean, it's really a piece about doubles. You see everything like twice, and you see like two versions of the same story, you know, the real, and the fictional one. And plus, you have this sort of multiplications of versions and multiplications of actions, and also as you mentioned, they were like reflecting themselves into their own fantasies or into their own family myths. It is, in a level, a piece about narcissism. And in that sense, I can also connect it to many of the issues that we are facing in today's world, not just in a personal level, but in a more broad level. And yeah, we are all the time questioning what is it true, what is it fake. You don't know anymore. The exposition of our private life that we are all doing in social media, it's also creating like a constant fantasy of our lives. We have to face constant political news that we don't know exactly who is feeding us with that. So to me, this idea of how you create a fiction, from where does it come from, and how much it affects our life, how much we are all created by fictions, I feel that it's becoming much more relevant today than a few years ago.
Yeah. No, I think, we're fine. I don't know if you want to add something from your side or no? Okay. We want to thank you very much.
Thank you.